Test, test. Captions are working, I think. They might need a more thorough test. Sailing takes me way to where I always knew I'd be. Yeah, okay, it's working. Are we doing it? Is it stream time? I say to myself as I unmute my microphone. Definitely not setting up. Definitely not setting up for a scene change. I had the idea for that gag literally as I was saying it, which was why I laughed. I can't keep a straight face. I swear I can't. And we're not keeping a straight face today either, because the cruise was funny. Oh, wait, where is my is it file? Media source, maybe? Bring the fireplace sounds back, or I will riot. Thank you. So yes, the cruise was good. I apparently forgot to tell people that I was doing it. That's on me. I should have said things more. I worried quite a lot of people. Sorry, people. I am actually sorry. It's just, it is also funny, though. You know, two things can be true at once kind of a deal. But yeah, it was insane. Can I copy? I have put zero thought into this today. I have put in zero thought. Okay. Can I? I don't think I can. I was trying to figure out if I could quickly and easily put the text, because I want to add more text, but I want it to default to the correct thing every time. But I guess not. I'm gonna have to put it in. I found this nice chalk font. Do you guys like it? I like it. It's very close to my own actual handwriting, actually. And the T looks like a little boat, which is always a plus. If your T looks like a little boat, that is always a good thing. Because T's are little boats in a sea of literature. No, I have nothing to back myself up there. We're all just going to accept that I'm correct, and we're going to move on. Thank you. So, it was fun. We're adding things now. We're adding things. So, the very fun thing, the very, very fun thing was, it was, where should I start, actually? Where should I start? The nanny from The Sound of Music tells me that I should start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. But I don't know. I don't know if the beginning is interesting or not. Okay. I'll start at the beginning. So this cruise, for seemingly no reason whatsoever, launched from New York City. Specifically Staten Island. Whoa, okay. For, like, no reason that I know of, it did this. There we go. And that was quite a trip for me. I've never been to New York before. So, like, there's all these big, huge skyscrapers in the background. Except on my little airport bus, we were exclusively rolling through what seemed like the poorest part of New York. I don't know why. I don't know why that is. So, so we roll up to the cruise port on Staten Island. I think it's Staten Island because it's where Brooklyn is, and I believe that's Staten Island. It's right across from Ellis Island, which I definitely know what that is because it's got all the nice old buildings on it, and I like nice old buildings. Like colonial style stuff. If you don't know, Ellis Island was where America processed a lot of immigrants back in the 1900s. What they would do is they would bring them to the island, quarantine them there to make sure they weren't bringing in any terrible diseases, and then they would be released into the interior of the country when it was confirmed that they were legal immigrants. That's what Staten Island was. And the Statue of Liberty is very close to that, and that's why the Statue of Liberty is such a big deal, because all of these immigrants, the poor, the starving, the huddled masses kind of a thing, they would get off at Ellis Island, and that's the first time they had stepped foot in America, and they saw this huge monument just over the water to the freedom that symbolized everything they had been looking for. So Staten Island was like this harbor almost of hope for a lot of immigrants coming to America. It's just a really cool place, man. It's really, really cool. Staten Island is cool. Or Ellis Island. Ellis Island gets its own bit. Does this allow me to? No, it doesn't. Need more text. Need more text. Okay. Island is cool, actually. Let's make it a little smaller here. Make a little sub point on that. Ellis Island is cool, actually. And I've got a wonderful picture of it, which I won't show you because it's on my phone, and I did not have the forethought to put it on my computer. And I don't even know what that would take because I have an iPhone and I'm functionally illiterate in an Apple ecosystem. Do with that information what you will. So anyway, we launched from Staten Island. It's like 40 degrees on the boat. Of course, there were already a bunch of kids who had dragged their parents out to the pool. In 40-degree weather, there were these kids. The kids got the last laugh, though, because I found out the next day that the pools were heated. The kids got the last laugh, man. They knew what they were about. See, sometimes you just gotta listen to kids. Sometimes you just gotta listen to the youngins. They will steer you right. At least when it comes to fun. Kids are good at fun. I feel like that's a very uncontroversial thing to say. I feel like that's common knowledge, but it does bear repeating. Kids are really, really good at having fun. Also, kids are just great. Kids are great in general, okay? Like, there was an astounding amount of people to me that were like, there are too many kids on this ship. And every time they would say that, something adorable was happening, like toddlers dancing to freaking steel drums. Okay, kids are amazing. Everyone needs to stop being little curmudgeons. They're so self-absorbed they can't appreciate adorable little children. And yes, the kids would occasionally get into trouble because that's what kids do. But you know what else? You know what else? Those kids were just acting out the sweet life of Zach and Cody. And I want you to search your heart right now. Search your soul. Scour the bottom of your life and look me in the eye and say with all seriousness that you would not like to be a kid on a boat. Because that's freaking cool, man. Also, your parents aren't paying any attention at all because they have alcohol. All right, that's awesome. Kids, go crazy. I get it, man. That is the childhood I didn't get to have because my parents were attentive. But yeah, the kids on the cruise were great. A lot of people complained, but it was like, why? They're literally doing nothing to you, and they're not even being that loud. They're just having fun. Like, it's a cruise. It's not the inner court of a kingdom where the king sits on his throne, passing judgment on all who enter. It was a cruise. Get over yourselves. Bonk. Okay. I don't know. Does that deserve a point? I talked about it. I'm giving it a bullet point. I'm going to have so much to clean up after this. So many of these bullet points are going to be X thing is cool, actually, and I'm completely okay with that. Kids are cool, actually. That's my big astounding message for you today. Kids are cool. All right? They're cooler than me. I'm lame. Actually, that leads me directly into the next part of the cruise. I'm not that lame. I'm apparently not that lame. What do you mean by this, Teller? Great question, chat. So I'm apparently not that lame. And I've been made aware of this. Because people repeatedly told me that this last week on the cruise. Exclusively the guys told me this. I did not hear this from any women, which makes it 10,000% more reliable. It was not people hitting on me. And before you say the guys could have been hitting on me, trust me, there were a lot of gay guys on the cruise, and they all knew each other, and they made it very obvious what they were about. So these guys weren't hitting on me, okay? They were honestly complimenting me, which if you know men, that doesn't happen. Guys don't just compliment each other, especially guys who don't know each other. They don't compliment each other. That's not a thing we do. Which makes it 10,000% more credible in my mind. 10,000%. And the main reason for that I was given was that I went to a club the first night, which it was the first IRL club I've ever been to, the first clubbing situation of my life, and they all told me in no uncertain terms, I am apparently a good dancer. I kind of knew this. Already. The thing is with this bullet point here is I am like not classically trained for dancing, not that at all. But I was like I took a lot of lessons when I was in college for swing dancing. And swing dancing, it really teaches you how to move right. And then, of course, I incorporated like the Latin dances, bachata, merengue, salsa. Though I was never quite as good at those, I was really kind of okay at swing dancing. And by kind of okay, I mean I placed in 1 or 2 amateur tourneys that happened to be in town. So I kind of knew I was a good dancer, but I didn't think that would translate at all to the club, where you're kind of dancing by yourself. It's almost like you're like a bird or something. You wear something flashy, like blue feathers, and then you dance by yourself, and you hope that other birds notice this, and that's basically what it is. That's what the club is. You're hoping that other birds notice you for the purposes of procreation. That's not my bit, because I feel like that culture is kind of vapid and lame. But I still like dancing, so I go out there and dance, and apparently I can bust a move, which is shocking to me. I did not know I could do this thing, but several guys over the course of the week came up to me and they were like, dude, you got some moves. How did you learn to do that? And I was like, well, I used to like dance like on an amateur level. And so they were like, could you show me some of that stuff? And so I just kind of showed them what I was doing. And I don't know if like guys just, I don't know why this stuff was like so impressive. It didn't feel impressive to me. It just felt like I was doing kind of normal vibing kind of dancing, but everyone was really impressed with it. And I don't know why. I'm still confused. I'm flattered, but really confused. But apparently I can dance. I am apparently not as lame as I thought I was. So apparently I am a good dancer. Also apparently I'm like unreasonably funny to tipsy people. There were several moments on the cruise. Towards the end of the week, I was drinking a lot less. On the first night, I went a little bit wild. Not too wild. It's still me. But I went a little bit wilder than I had intended. And I'll be honest, it scared me just a little bit. Scared me a tiny bit. So I toned it down for the rest of the week. I toned it down a little bit. No one else did, of course, because it's a cruise. And something that I found was I would unintentionally say things that everyone else thought was the funniest shit they'd ever heard. Everybody else thought this shit was so fucking funny. They would start cracking up out of nowhere, and I would have to backtrack and be like, what did I say? I didn't mean to. And that was even funnier to them because they thought I was doing a bit. And I wasn't. I was confused. So eventually, people started explaining to me why they were laughing when I had said things because I never got the joke. And sometimes it was just really dirty shit. Like, okay, I can make some sus jokes, but my mind's not that in the gutter, okay? But a lot of it was just stuff that actually was funny, and I was just missing it entirely because I was the one saying it. And most of the time, it was stuff that I meant completely seriously. I can't think of an exact example of this phenomenon, but it happens. So I accidentally say a lot of funny things. Does that deserve a bullet point? It's getting a bullet point. Everything gets a bullet point. Okay? All right. Let's see. Under the header, I'm apparently not that lame. What else fits here? I'm apparently not that lame. Oh. Well, does that deserve its own header? See, now I feel like I'm organizing an essay, and I hate bullet pointing essays. I just write them, and I usually have a logical train of thought, so it works. How do I want to transition out of this? I guess I should explain. Why the second heading is necessary at all. I don't get out much. I do not get out much, which is probably evident by the fact that I'm a VTuber. I mean, look at me. I don't get out much. Just a sad fact of my life. I tend to be a busy boy, but also I like my apartment. It is warm and has books and games. And even little models that I've built. And I like it here. So I don't get out that much. So this is like, the cruise was really me stepping out of my comfort zone in a big way. Not because I felt like I needed to. That wasn't why. the why of the cruise was I felt like for a long time now that I have been putting off the things and experiences that I want to have. I've been putting those things off for a while for different reasons that I don't necessarily want to get into on stream, but I'm sure you guys can imagine some of those reasons. I've been putting some things off, and a cruise wasn't even on that list. I've never wanted to do a cruise before in my life, but for some reason, just something overtook me this last month, and I did it very spur of the moment. And it ended up being a really great lesson to me that I am not as socially undesirable as I have been told that I am by certain people. And I am not, or rather, I do actually have something to offer to other people socially that I didn't think I brought to the table. I should be clear. There are a lot of parts of my life where I feel like I offer people a lot. My job is one of those things. The unknowable job of 1,000 hats. Where I feel like I offer a lot of value to people and I help them a lot. That's great. But that's completely different from offering people something socially. And there's no overlap, I should say, between my job and a social life. And I kind of had gotten into the mode where I didn't believe I could offer anything socially. Which has made me not want to be very social. But I last week did a lot of work at deconstructing that for me, to where I'm starting to actually think I might have something to offer people socially, which is a new idea for me and kind of an uncomfortable one, because if it's true, how long has it been true? And if it's been true for, a significant amount of time, then I've been denying others my company, which is inherently selfish, because I was afraid, which is inherently dishonorable. Because I've been letting fear rule me. The other possibility is I have been doing a lot of work on myself. Actually, streaming like this has been part of that. So it's very possible that this cruise simply gave me the opportunity to observe my own growth that I had not really recognized prior to this event. And I'm not sure which is true. And it's probably, like most things are, a mixture of both options, and a third one I haven't even thought of, right? All that to say, it was very, very good for me. It was a good learning experience for me. This was a great opportunity for me to try things. You know what? Let's talk about trying things. Let's talk about trying things. I'm going to put that up in the corner over there. If anyone really wants to see it, they can zoom in. But let's talk about trying things. Because I got to try a lot of stuff. For context, I grew up not poor by any means, but in a region of the country where there are not many things one might consider exotic. A very landlocked kind of a thing. Very... what's the word? culturally stifled, maybe. I wasn't poor, but I grew up in an area that would be considered very poor. I grew up in Appalachia, which, if you've done any research at all into, or if you've been there at all, you know that certain parts of Appalachia can be very wealthy, but those people aren't from the mountains. If you go anywhere where people natively live in the mountains, there's a lot of poverty. And because of that, even if you happen to be from a fairly well-off family, you don't have a lot of opportunities that other people might have, because the general area is just not, it's been stricken with poverty. So this was a great opportunity for me to try a lot of things that I had never even really thought about trying, because I had never really been exposed to them. For example, sorry for putting that ugly Arial font on your screen. For example, swordfish, you can eat it. I did not know this before last week. I did not know it before I had actually eaten some of it. Swordfish, you can eat it, and it tastes good. Swordfish is actually delicious, along with many other different types of seafood that you would expect from a cruise, because it's a cruise. I got to try a lot of them, and I liked all of them. Lobster and swordfish and squid. I am cursed with living in a desert and discovering I like seafood. Why do I do this to myself? I'll never know. But yeah, swordfish. You can eat that. It's good. It tastes good. They give it to you, and it's like a triangular thing, and I had to think, why is it like a rounded triangle thing? And I realized, because that's the body of the swordfish. They literally take it, it must have been like the tail or something, and they cut it into strips, because the body is aerodynamic. It's curved across the top, and then down the sides, meeting at three corners, if that makes sense. But swordfish, you can eat it. It's really good. What else did I do? What else did I do? Well, I guess clubbing fits under this header. And I talked about it a little bit before, but I can expand on it. Clubs aren't for hitting. Let's do that, because it's kind of clever, and I like being clever. Clubs aren't for hitting. What do I mean by that? The club was very interesting. Let's say it like that. Because, as you might imagine, the people who are on a cruise, there's a lot of reasons, but almost everyone shares the inclination to let loose a little bit, to go a little loosey-goosey, to really get down with the sickness, as you might assume, to sing their party rock anthem, to go off like a firework. How many more song references can I work in here? It's a lot, isn't it? Should I stop while I'm ahead? No. So I went my first time at a club, and I will admit, I can make some sussy jokes. But I have to admit, I am more of a wholesome guy than anything. So I was a little bit, what's the word? Flabbergasted at some of the behaviors displayed. Intentional or unintentional, because there was such an amount of alcohol being imbibed that I don't know that anyone was doing anything intentionally at that point. It was like midnight on a boat yeah, I don't know that anyone was doing anything intentionally at that point, but it was still a little bit shocking to me. Um, did I like it? Actually, I did. When I had enough alcohol in me. When I didn't, the only thing I could think about all night was, oh no, are these people gonna be okay in the like? I was so worried about everyone around me all the time if I was not imbibing, at least at the club, because I would see people doing ridiculous things, and I would be like, is that something they're okay with? Are they drunk? Do they need help? Do I need to help them? Is this what they intended? I don't know. I don't know. Like, there was this one girl the first night who was absolutely like, she couldn't stand up. And her friends kept bringing her drinks. And it got to the point where pretty much everybody, I started first, but eventually everyone got to the point where, like, does this girl need help? Is she okay? And eventually security had to step in. But I felt like that about everybody all of the time. Because I like to be helpful. I'm a little helper boy. And I don't know. It was fun, but not in a way I think I want to repeat. If that makes sense. I think that makes sense. I think that makes sense. Mm. But yeah. Clubs were fun. What else did I get to try? Oh, yes. Actually, this should probably get its own header because it's interesting enough by itself. Can I not do them all together? I highlighted them all. Do I have to group it? Wait, I can figure this out. I'm good at things. Okay. There we go. Okay. Yeah, it'll join the list of things we've already talked about here in the corner. I like this. This is working well. Okay. More text. To quote Miguel, Bahamas. If you've never seen El Dorado, that's the reference. I feel like I need to explain the reference because otherwise it feels a little weird. But the reference is that these two guys have snuck on a Spanish ship to get to the New World, and they're found as stowaways, and the captain of the ship says they're gonna be put to work on the sugar plantations in I think it was Cuba. And so one of the guy goes, Cuba. So I'm just taking that for buzz. With that being said, I'm gonna take a short break right here. Someone's knocking at my door. I'll be back. All right, I'm back. It was a little lost delivery boy. He thought I was his house. I am not his house. Where was I? Oh, yes. Bahamas. As part of this, I visited the Bahamas. And let me tell you, the Bahamas is fun. It's cool. Bahamas actually reminded me a lot of home. Because the first thing that stood out to me was and how should I put this? I guess I should write it out before I put it down. They had some very good Southern hospitality. They had some very, very good Southern hospitality. And what do I mean by that? So, if you don't know, the Bahamas is this little island. It's a couple of islands, but it's mainly this one island. And their entire industry is tourism. That's it. Entire industry. They dock something ridiculous like 8 cruise ships a day on the main island. And that is the entire lifeblood of their economy. To the point where their dollar, the Bahamian dollar, is directly tied to the American dollar, so that Americans have an easier time shopping in the Bahamas. Now, because of that, that tourism focus, you might expect them to be very, very nice to all of the tourists, and for the most part, they are. Like, especially the people in the tourism industry are very, very nice. They're accommodating. But there were a lot of people I met in Bahamas where I could tell it was more than just trying to get my money. They were actually incredibly hospitable because that's where their hearts were and that's where their spirits were at. And it's just who they were as a people almost. Like, this is an incredibly welcoming people. It felt a lot like home because of that. It also felt like home because I went on a walking tour, a little historic walking tour, and I grew up in a tourist trap in the Appalachians, which is not enough to identify me by, don't worry. Lots of tourist traps out in the mountains. But I know the feeling very much of, like, the main street of town is going to look very, very beautiful based on your tax dollars. And if you walk 5 minutes off Main Street, you're going to find poverty. I know that feeling very deeply in my own bones because I grew up with that. And again, I was okay. I was in a family that was pretty well to do for ourselves. But this is what I grew up in. And that was definitely part of Bahamas as well, where this walking tour took us up to one of the highest points on the island, which was not very high, all things considered, because it's an island. A non-mountainous island. To look at some old forts and things like that. And, 5 minutes off of Main Street, and even kind of on Main Street, because that's just how the island is. And you start seeing the signs of the poverty and such, and it made me really feel for these people because, same stripes. So yeah, it felt a lot like home, surprisingly enough. Not, and that feeling was helped by our tour guide, who spent half the tour because we're just walking, right? And he's pointing out different things, but there was a point in the tour where we were just kind of walking through a newly industrialized section, so he didn't have much to talk about. And he just started talking about bush medicine in the Bahamas. And I tell you what, that boy sounded like he could have been from my own mother, I'll tell you what. Because not that we have any of the same plants or anything, but the principles he was talking about with the bush medicine and the things he was claiming that these plants could do, I know a lot of those claims because I grew up in that kind of area. That kind of area where you know you don't have really great access to healthcare all the time, so you figure out what around you is really good, and that information gets passed down generation to generation. Like we, for example, back home, there is a plant that we call plantain. I don't know what the proper name of it is, and I don't care. It's this big, flowery, bushy plant with velvety leaves, very easy to find. And it is a great medicinal herb because what you can do with it, if you get bit by a snake or if you get stung by a bee, you crush up this leaf, you chew on it, doesn't taste very good. You chew it up, you put it on the wound, and you can squeeze out as much venom as you can. And what this plant does is it neutralizes a lot of venoms. Which, when you're dealing with wasps and hornets and all this kind of stuff and all the different snakes that we had back home, knowing where the wild plantain would grow was very helpful. You know, you're looking for your shady areas, you're looking for rocks, you're looking for this exact kind of leaf. It needs to be about yay big, otherwise it's useless. So it felt very much like home. But while I was there, I did also partake in the more touristy side of Bahamas. And the more touristy side of Bahamas that I personally did, I didn't do the beaches, I did the shopping. I did the shopping. So, the Bahamas, because it is very dependent on American shopping, they don't charge tax or import fees for Americans specifically. I don't know if that's like a law or if it's a treaty, but they don't charge taxes. God bless Bahamas. That's the first time I've said that about any place that wasn't America. Understand, that's how much I hate taxes. So I went down to to do the shopping over there, and I won't tell you everything I got. But there was one thing I got where I don't know if I got taken for a ride or not. I don't know. And I'm looking it up right now because I have no idea. And this is kind of a moment of truth for me. What I did was what? No, okay. Okay. The first thing Google gave me when I looked for this item was $1,000. I paid $30 for this. So I thought I had just cracked the code, man. Okay. Okay. So, man, that scared me. That scared me. What I did was I found a light blue topaz pendant for my mother. I happen to like topaz a lot. I know she likes it a lot. And it was very cheap. It was $30. It was this beautiful 5-carat topaz. And again, $30. So, just Googling it very quickly, it is not uncommon for a good topaz to be anywhere from $8 to $11 a carat, which means, I mean, mine was 5 carats. Damn, I did good. I did real good, actually. Topazes are pretty cheap gems to begin with, but this one's just a beautiful cut on it. Man. Like, there were shopping seminars and stuff on the cruise ship telling you, like, here's how to shop in Bahamas. Here's how to be a savvy shopper. And I went to a couple of those because I was curious. And I thought, I came away from all of them thinking it was just fluff and stuff. But now that I've actually compared prices on myself, I didn't want to check because I didn't want to know, like, I'd been scammed or something. But I figured if I'm going to check, I'm going to do it on stream. But no, Bahamas, good place to buy jewelry. I was not lied to, apparently. As long as you're smart. Big proviso. Long as you're smart. But yeah, Bahamas was very fun. And that's pretty much all I did on the island. And I know it sounds like kind of bougie to say, oh, all I did was shop and go on a tour in Bahamas. But again, I spent $30. Like, calm down, people. I spent $30. Okay. What else did I want to talk about here? I'm actually talking about a lot. Let me think. I mean, I guess I could talk about the service on the boat. Impeccable, perfect, stupendous, no notes. I mean, it was so good that all I have to say about it was perfect. Service was perfect. Um, hmm. Okay, random category time. I didn't think I would get to this fast. Random stuff I liked. One of the random things that I did not anticipate, but I ended up immensely enjoying was the people watching. The people watching was immaculate. The people watching was amazing. It was possibly the best part of the cruise was the people watching. Because think about it like a bottle episode, right? In television, a bottle episode is where you spend the entire episode in one set. Some famous examples include the Family Guy episode where Brian and Stewie get locked in a bank vault. And that's the entire episode. They're just in a bank vault. And it's you have to figure out how to make that interesting. They're very, very hard to write with good reason. But what that means is a natural bottle episode, like a cruise or an extended trip on a train, those have some of the best people watching you will ever encounter. Because everyone starts interacting with each other by the second day and starts mixing and mingling. And then all of a sudden, you have the craziest, stupidest, most amazing stories playing out right in front of you. It's always, always so amazing. Have I not been live? Have I not been live this entire time? I just gotta... I'm live? Okay. My restream is not working for Twitch chat, though, so I apologize if I have missed you at all. Let's see, how can I fix that? Can I bring it up on my phone here? Okay, I'll do that. I'll keep it up on my phone. Where was I? So you would see some of the wildest stories unfold on the boat. And it was always the young people, which was the best part, because any young person on a boat is looking to get laid. I don't need to be that crude. They are looking for romantic companionship. And naturally, that pursuit will always, always bring people to just wonderful circumstances. Chef's kiss circumstances. All right. Girls going to Lulu. Boys going absolutely bonkers on this ship. Trying to find love. It turned into the Love Boat for me. If you don't know, the Love Boat was a television show Is it appropriate to say in the 1900s? It was like the 70s, I think. um, but Love Boat was a show where everyone it was a cruise ship, and everyone who worked on the cruise ship was way too invested in the lives of the customers, so they would constantly try to interfere in their love lives, and that was the point of the show. And that's a little bit what I did on the cruise. Not to say I was playing Cupid or anything. Quite the contrary. I, swish the hair, am a man of chaos. I am a man of chaos. So naturally, a lot of what I did was directed towards the end of, just messing with people on a deep personal level. How so did I mess with people? Excellent question. For example, I got a super bad sunburn. Actually, I'm going to include the sunburn in things I like, because it was the worst sunburn of my life, and I got it from a beach, not in Bahamas, different island. But I really enjoyed that happened to me. It was a double layer sunburn, which is to say, the first part has already peeled, and as I sit here with you now, the second part, the under the sunburn part, has just started to peel. It is very painful. It is very painful. But the double layer sunburn was so terrible when I originally got the sunburn that my eyes nearly swelled shut. And nearly. I was still able to operate. But for a full day, I looked extremely Asian. Please don't take that the wrong way. I say that because there were this port left out of New York, so it was a very diverse group of people. In fact, most of the ship was Chinese. I don't know how that works out of New York. But, good for them. Glad they were having fun. There was a lot of people who came up to me during that 24 hours of the initial sunburn, who assumed I was some form of Asian. I didn't go around doing this. People assumed it of me. I guess I already look kind of Asian. I don't know how the genetics work out on that, but my face got so swollen. Apparently it finished the job. So I just went with it. I was so badly swollen, people I had talked to didn't recognize me. I just went with it, man. It was hilarious. It was really funny. And I wasn't super mean about it. I corrected people within 20 minutes. But those 20 minutes were some of the best gold I've ever experienced in my life. Every time someone mistook me for being a person they had not met and or Asian while I had my terrible, terrible sunburn. It was just so fun. Again, I was not looking for this opportunity. And don't get me wrong, it's not like I was acting like Asian, like in a 80s movie or something. I wasn't doing that. It's just people were assuming I was ethnically Asian. And it was really funny because the only reason was my face was that swollen. It felt a little bit like an Adam Sandler movie. And the moment I realized that was happening to me, I was like, I cannot be Adam Sandler in this moment. People are going to realize tomorrow if I am. I'm on a boat with these people. I'm stuck here, man. I can't do that. So the double layer sunburn, while being terrifyingly painful, did provide a lot of comedy for me. And it let me briefly experience what it's like to be in an in an Adam Sandler movie, um, which wasn't on my bucket list, but sure. Just a random thing. It was really weird. It was a really weird week for me, guys. I was still a little bit delirious up until this morning from a mixture of a lack of sleep and the pain of the sunburn, and I guess the effort of growing new skin. All of that takes a toll on you, man. It takes an actual toll on you. But it was worth it. It was so worth it. I would do it again in a heartbeat because I had the time of my life on this cruise. And more importantly than the fun was I didn't worry about things. I was just not bothered the entire week. I was just able to like sit and enjoy. That was something I needed really badly because I worry about things a lot. I'm a worrier. And it was just really, really nice to not worry, to just kind of be okay for a week. Because I didn't have any internet, I didn't have any phone. I was just vibing. I was just okay. And that was just such a powerful need for me that I didn't even realize. I was like, oh man, this will be like an unplug week for me. And that was so important, it turns out. Not worrying about drama at work. Not that there's a whole lot, but you know, what little bit there was, I didn't have to worry about. Just the decompression of it, I guess. I know this blackboard is half filled with terrible puns. But it was basically salty decompression socks. That's what last week was for me. And man, it was so helpful. Sorry, something on my other screen just popped up. Just checking. That is odd. Okay, sorry, just a weird email that popped up. But yeah, that this last week on the boat was super good for me. It also, and this will probably be the last thing I talk about. When I was young, I loved the ocean. I loved it a lot. The ocean held a really special place for me. To this day, I can't even really tell you why. It just did. It was where I can't even explain it. And then I grew up. And then I grew up and I matured. I went to college. I got a job. I forgot about it. And then I went on this cruise. I've always considered myself a mountain man. And I am. Deep in my blood. Deep in my heart. I love the mountains. I know for real and for true that that's where I belong. But there's something about the ocean. In its vastness and its beauty and its killer strength. And yet it provides for the people. In a lot of ways, it's just like a mountain. It's old. Older than you can understand. It has secrets. Secrets that you can't unravel. And it'll be there after you're gone. I remembered that love for the ocean this last week. I remembered how deeply I longed when I was a kid to move out to an island somewhere or an undersea lab, to breathe in that salt that's so heavy on the wind you can taste it in the back of your throat no matter what you do. The sand and the shells. I truly love the ocean. It can't be my home. The mountains are my home. But between the mountains and the oceans, that's where I live. So yeah, this last week was really good for me. Gonna organize all this stuff real quick. Because I want to try and get a screenshot, but I don't know if I've got enough room. Here, let's do this. Let's make this smaller. Let's see. Can I just cut a couple of things off the bottom here? Can I? Yeah. Yeah, just move it over here real quick. That way I can make both a little longer. Oop. There we go. Man, I'm loving the chalkboard aesthetic. I'm very glad I got this. But yeah, cruise. It was good. It was really, really good. I'm so glad I did it. And I'm so glad I didn't talk myself out of it at the last second, which was definitely possible. It was definitely possible. But it was good. Let's find someone to raid. I know, kind of a short stream today. But tomorrow we will do a longer stream. Because tomorrow I have a half day because of Easter coming up. Tomorrow is Good Friday. So the office is closed for half the day, which is so nice. So nice they do that for us, even though they don't have to. So I have a half day tomorrow. I have some errands to run, but I am expecting to be able to stream maybe about 6 o'clock tomorrow. Yeah, maybe about 6 o'clock. I'm thinking I'll play some Helldivers. I'm thinking I will play some Helldivers because it's ridiculously fun. But for right now, that is going to be it from me. And let's see. Who do I want to raid? Who do I want to raid? We will raid Lyric. We will raid Lyric as an apology. I made this poor girl worry so much because I forgot to tell her that I wouldn't be able to talk to anybody. I made this poor girl worry so bad. So we're gonna go raid her as an apology. Okay, goodbye everybody. I will see you all tomorrow night at some time. I'm not going to put a hard time on it because I'm not sure how my errands will go, but there will be a time and there will be game, and it will probably be Helldivers or Armored Core. Haven't decided yet. We'll figure it out tomorrow. Possibly both. Maybe a big long stream. Maybe a little bit of an overnighter. Who knows? Maybe we get wacky with it. Ooh. Wouldn't that be fun? But for right now, everyone go say hi to Lyric. She's great.